All right. You got to get the voice in there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Welcome back to another episode of NFTs and Web3. As always, I'm your host, FFV. And today I bring you another amazing guest, the founder of Zen Academy, the 888 Club, all while running his own newsletters with over 36,000 readers. He's here to create a safe and welcoming space for anywhere, anytime, at any level to learn about NFTs and Web3. Welcome, Zenica.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Hey.
It's the 333 club, not the 888 club.
Oh shit,
Wanted to
my
make
bad,
that
man.
minor correction. All good,
Yeah,
all
my
good,
bad, man. Sorry about
all
that.
good. It's
I
not the
might.
first time. People sometimes get that because it actually was an 888 club or project. Actually, they launched around the same time. So there was definitely some confusion along the way, but just wanted to
I
clear it up. Yeah.
apologize about that, man. I should have reread that a couple of times, man. My
All
ADHD,
good.
man. But yeah, dude. Hey, really appreciate you for coming on, man. I bet everybody's super excited to hear about what you got going on, what you think about the Web3 space, and everything that basically, like I said, what you got going on. Um,
Yeah.
First, man, here on this show, I like to get a little personal, so me and all the people listening can get to know you a little bit. So, what was it like growing up for you, and what are some of the adversities or challenges that you have faced that have shaped your personal growth or perspective?
Yeah, wow, great question. So I was born and raised in Australia, actually in a tiny small town in the Northern Territory. Like it was a mining town, 3,000 people. But then when I was 6, we moved to Brisbane, which is a much larger city, like 1 million people or so. Um, Lived there most of my life. So in terms of like adversity or things to overcome, I mean, just like I was a stereotypical nerd kid, back in the 90s and early 2000s, bullying that comes along with that, and just general like feeling like a bit of an outcast and not belonging because I would spend so much time like behind my computer screen and at home and things like that. But I mean, that's nothing too crazy. Like a lot of kids obviously go through something similar. I was
Yeah.
just fortunate to have, my parents are amazing. My family, my home life was all really great, and I had like a good life there. So, got to be a teenager. And then, I, when I was like 17, 18, started playing poker with some friends. And like, that's the thing that I ended up doing professionally for about 15 years before
Oh
getting
wow.
into NFTs
Oh
and
damn.
crypto.
That's actually pretty crazy, man. I didn't know that about yourself. How good were you? Were you like you were making a lot of money in there? Or you were sustainable?
I was making enough. So I was never like top tier, but I always say like to be able to make a living for 15 years,
Yeah.
I was doing something right.
Oh yeah.
But it was never like making crazy amounts of money. And it had highs and lows. The thing about poker is you don't actually have to be like quote unquote good to make money or be professional, or you just have to be better than the people you play against. And so like I was always able to like make sure that I was playing in games where I had an edge, and I think like I had like the emotional or like the psychological stability to not like blow all my money, and like I was able to manage my bankroll and things like that, which allowed me to survive. Um, I had so many friends that I knew across the years, and a lot of them ended up for one reason or another having to like drop out and go get a quote unquote real job or something. But yeah, I did something right, but it wasn't like top tier or anything like that.
Yeah. That's still pretty amazing for you to do something like that for 15 years playing poker. That's pretty that sounds like a lot of people's dreams, you know. You know what I mean, man? But yeah, man, that's awesome, man. Here, last question before we dive into what you're doing in Web3. How did you first discover crypto, and how did that lead you into NFTs? Without getting into what you're doing, because we'll dive right into that.
Yeah. I mean, so I first heard about crypto in like 2011. Bringing it back to poker again, the US government sort of made online poker illegal effectively to play, or impossible to play. And so a lot of Americans left the country, like American professionals, they like went to Canada or Mexico or started playing casinos. But then there was like a small percentage that started playing on like a Bitcoin poker site. And so I was sort of like aware of that, but because I was living in Australia and I could still play online, I was like, I didn't even really check it out. That's when I first sort of heard about Bitcoin, and knew that it was like this digital currency, but I unfortunately didn't put too much time into researching it. And then 2017 comes around, and my best friend, he asked me if I knew what like Ethereum was. And he was like, maybe we should look into buying this thing. Some smart people are buying it. And I think it might have been like $7 at the time,
Wow.
maybe like 70 or 40. I don't know, somewhere in like the probably double digit range. And so he's the one that actually got me into NFTs, and I'll get to that in a moment. But like, yeah, he started talking about it, and I like started paying a little more attention, and was like, yeah, okay, let's buy this thing. I think at that point it was like a couple $100, still obviously in hindsight a very good entry. And I sort of got hooked in crypto for like 2017, like a lot of people. It was fun, like making money and riding that whole wave and buying random things and watching number go up. But I didn't really get it on a deep level. So then, when the 2018 bear market hit, I left and went back to poker. And then it was 2021 when that same friend, Jamie, again, he asked me this time if I know what an NFT is. And again, I had no idea. And he starts telling me, and I think it's a scam, and he thinks it's a scam as well. And as you do, but then, together we sort of did a bit of research and reading, and sort of came around to the idea that there's value here, and there's something cool about owning digital assets. And then I did some more reading and research, and was like, oh, there's all this stuff being built with crypto. Like there's DeFi now, and there's like these NFT things, and like I sort of had this moment of clarity. I was like, all right, I don't want to make the same mistake as 2018 when I left. I want to like go all in, to use a poker metaphor, and like commit to understanding crypto. And I think that this is where I should be spending all my time. It's like I made like that conscious decision. And it's like early 2021 is when I really properly got in and have stayed in.
Damn, that's awesome, man. I wanted to go back to what you said, man, of how like you kind of saw you and your friends were having so much fun during the crypto rise, and as you guys were making money. Do you use, for me, for context, man, I jumped into this whole crypto world, NFTs, back in 2021, right when I started my Twitter. So I never saw what happened before. So I'm trying to like kind of learn as I go. So do you see a lot of similarities about the crypto bull run back then versus and the crypto or in the NFT bull run? Like, I hear a lot of similarities. Like I had tons of fun with my friends. We were making money left and right. Was there a lot of similarities between the two, between the crypto run and the NFT run?
I think so. Yeah. Like I wasn't making like a lot of money then. I didn't get in on like the ICOs and things like that made a lot of money. I was just like buying some ETH and some other coins on like centralized exchanges. I never had my own like custody wallet or anything like that. And I was like, again, I wasn't like fully in. So I was sort of like on the periphery, and it was fun. But like my recollection of it, I don't really remember. A lot of people talk about like the ICO phase and craze and how there's similarities between that and NFTs. And I totally see it, but like I wasn't involved or invested myself. So it's hard to have that direct comparison. But, history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And I think like the bull cycles, there's a lot of similarities from one to another. And I think that you learn from history. And so I think that the people that actually, the funny thing is, it's so difficult to get right, because a lot of the people that were there in 2017 and they got wrecked in 2018 on ICOs, they didn't really touch NFTs because they were like, oh, it's all a scam again. But that would have meant that they missed out on these crazy, crazy gains. Or they got in and they're like, as soon as something went up like a 2 or 3x, they were like, all right, I'm out. But they might have missed out on a more significant gain. So it's just a interesting thing to sort of compare the past and try and apply it to the future, because sometimes it ends up helping, but sometimes it can actually end up hindering results depending on how you apply that history lesson.
Yeah, 1000%, man. I'm trying to I'm understanding as I got into this world, man, that there's a lot of patterns, and there's a lot of, I like what you said. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. I always was a big believer that, history will repeat itself kind of exactly,
Yeah.
but not exactly, but the same way. But I like what you said, man, how it rhymes instead of it. But yeah,
I think I stole it from somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but I've heard that before. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. But let's jump into what you're doing, man, and everything in the Web3 space, because there's some pretty cool and exciting stuff to get into first. But let's start at ground zero. How did all of this idea of creating the Zen Academy pop into your head? Did you see an event that made you have this idea, or is this something that you just came up on your own?
Sort of came up on my own. So like back in 2021, I spent a bunch of time like trading and flipping NFTs and sort of like just living that life. And it was really fun and exciting, but it's also like draining and difficult to do long term, and not particularly fulfilling or rewarding either. And I think around like June, I started creating content. So I started my newsletter, I started posting Twitter threads, and that all just kind of blew up like way beyond anything I ever expected. And never like set out to be a content creator or like have a big follow. It just sort of, I just started writing, and because I like writing, and yeah, it just blew up. And I loved it because I love writing. I love researching and explaining things and understanding them myself. And I think that it's something that adds value to the space because other people were sort of responding well to it and like reading my stuff and being like, thank you, that helped me, or like appreciate it. Like, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I'd never had that before in my life. Like playing poker professionally, it's not like a job that adds value to society. And then flipping NFTs was the same. But like creating content, finally, like I was doing something that actually felt like I was contributing. And so I wanted to do more and more of that. And so I started thinking about, all right, this is going to take up most of my time, most of my week, to like every single day I was writing a big Twitter thread and manually updating the spreadsheet with floor prices and writing a newsletter.
Oh man, dude, I remember that.
Those spreadsheets.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
spreadsheets, man. The OGs remember that.
Yeah. The good old days.
Yep.
Oh man. So for those who are listening, you may not remember, in 2021, you couldn't really find the floor price of projects. Like just, it wasn't easily available. OpenSea didn't display it. There were no, Blur didn't exist. No other marketplaces really existed. There were no analytics tools like Floor or no NFT, none of that. So if you wanted to find the floor price of a collection, you literally had to go to OpenSea, go click on the collection page. You had to sort from price low to high because it wasn't automatically sorted. Click on like what's available for purchase, and then like look at what the lowest listed one is, and that was the floor. And so I did that manually for like, it started off with like 5 or 6 projects because there weren't many. And then after a few months, it was like literally a sheet of 100 different projects. And every single day I would tweet that out. And so that, I think that is the biggest reason my entire Twitter following and everything blew up. It's because I was doing those daily sheets. And I did it like basically every day for 6 months. And that was just a wild time.
Yeah, dude. Oh, keep going. Sorry.
Yeah. No, where was I? Oh yeah. So how that led to Zen Academy, I was like, all right, let's lean into this, and I want to keep doing this kind of stuff. I knew that the floor price stuff wouldn't be something I could do forever because these apps were coming out and like it was just getting way easier and automated, thankfully. But I wanted to keep creating content. And then like the Web2 model of monetizing your content is paid newsletter, Patreon, subscription, sponsors, all that kind of stuff. And I think maybe I'll get back to this later, but ironically, we're kind of getting back to that point now. But like at the time, I was like knee deep in NFTs, and I was like, well, maybe let me just experiment and let's just try launch an NFT that gives you access to a community, a club, my content, that kind of stuff, and see how that all works out and shapes out. And that was the idea for Zen Academy. And also like when I was thinking about like what kind of, if I do an NFT project, what can I do? Like I'm not an artist, I'm not a dev, I'm not a game designer or anything like that, but I'm a content creator. So maybe it can be around like content and educational content, which is, I think the space kind of needed quite a lot of then. And yeah, that was like the inspiration.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And it's a great thing to see because at first during when everything was going down, man, there's a lot of skeptics about everybody dropping an NFT project, because most people just took the money and ran, and most people, like 99%. But people didn't understand. I felt like at first people weren't, or didn't like understand what you were doing, what you were actually cooking up in the kitchen, because everybody at the time was just hype cycle this, hype cycle that. Everything was pumping left and right. It was insane. But what I love about you and like Zen Academy, man, is that you just kept going, man, through the bull, through the bear, everything, man. No matter what, just providing constant value. At one point, man, towards the beginning, I didn't think that it would like last long or it would be anything like remotely successful as it is today. So I was like, when I see you doing what you're doing today and adding more to it, with the recent announcements that we'll get into later, it's insane, man. And I just love that. I just love your growth in the space, man. It's in such a little time, man. It's fucking insane, man, to say the least.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was yeah, at a time everyone was launching projects and hyping them up and promising the world.
Yeah.
And I got like a lot of pushback, or like not a lot, but like a not insignificant amount of like hate from people who were calling me like a cash grabber and things like that. And I totally get it. Like, especially in hindsight, it it was very ambitious what I was trying to do, and but I was quite intentional where I wanted to be very transparent and honest up front, and I said, I don't know where this is going. This is an experiment. Don't spend anything you can't afford on this mint. It may not go anywhere, and who knows where it's going to go. But if you want to jump on this journey with me, and we'll just sort of figure it out together and explore an experiment, because it really was an experiment, still is. Then would love to have you on board. And so with that sort of mindset and approach and mentality, it's just, I think it attracted a lot of the right type of people, and we avoided just like pure speculators buying just to flip and short-term trade and things like that. And so we've had this really genuine community build up over the last, almost 2 years now. We're coming up on 18 months to 2 years. But yeah, it's been a wild ride.
How did you do? It's been a wild ride for sure, man. I see your community out there. Shout out to the Zen Academy people out there, man. They're insane, man. I don't know what it's called. It's like a magic 8-ball thing emoji.
Crystal ball, I would say, like a crystal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see those guys everywhere, man. But during the time when you got like a bunch of pushback, how did internally as yourself personally, how did you manage that? How did you go about it? What were your thoughts at first? And then how do you go about dealing with something like that with those type of people?
I think there are like two things. First, I part of it was like I would question, hey, are they right? Is this a good thing I'm doing? Am I doing a bad thing? Am I doing a wrong thing? Should I listen to this feedback and adjust? And then like that's just one thought. But then the other thing that was like, at least for me, fortunately, overwhelmingly, there was a lot of positive support. And like, there was a lot more, like it was certainly a vocal minority. And so that just really allowed me to focus on the good and made me sort of keep pushing forward. If it had been the reverse, where like the majority of people were like, yo, this is weird. What are you doing? You're a cash grabber. That's whack. I would have been a lot more likely to like change my plans based on that, because I would have gone, I must have misread the mark or the market or misread the situation, and people clearly aren't into this like I thought that they might be, and I probably wouldn't have proceeded. But overwhelmingly, there was a significant amount of support, and that really just helped keep me going, and it still does, like today, because there's, no matter what, if you build a following, even if you don't have that much of a following, if you're just active on social media or in the world, there's just going to be people that don't like you, that you've rubbed them the wrong way. They take an issue with something you say or do. They may, and it gets even trickier when they hear something that's completely untrue, or they just have the wrong information, and based on this false information, they've made up their minds about you and they hate you. And it's just a thing that exists in the world. And so like dealing with that is a whole other thing. But it's just sort of like, for me personally, I'm a big believer in stoicism as like a philosophy and a way of thinking. And it sort of like helped me a lot over the last decade of my life. And that just like gets me through everything, where it's like, it's kind of water off my back. Like, sure, maybe for a moment it like stings or like irks me, or I was like, that's weird. Or if I'm like tired or having a bad day, it might get to me a little more. But like, I'm very fortunate to be able to like not care too much, I guess, and to just focus on like, just what can I do about it? It's like, well, I could waste all this time and energy and effort being upset and complaining and trying to change their minds and engage with them and argue. And it's like, or I could just, get on with my life and do some productive stuff and focus on the people that are supportive and that I can, work well with.
No, definitely, man. Kudos to you, man. I just want to go back because that stuff is hard, man. Because I mean, at least I'm working on it. There's times to where that it does get to me, and sometimes I fire back a little bit. Not nothing too crazy, but I'll make a smart remark or anything like that. But kudos to you, man, because there's a lot of people out there that just really focus on the negative when there's so much more positive being thrown at you. But I just feel like also negativity is so much louder. But it's also the person, because as I scroll through Twitter or whatever I'm on, I'm looking through all the goat emojis, or you're cool or whatever, and then the one that sticks out the most is
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
It's
It's
insane,
weird
man.
the way our brains are wired to like
Yeah.
remember the negative instead of the positive.
Yeah, it's a we got to rewire the brain, and I feel like um I'm trying my best. I'm on my way, but kudos to you on that, man. So I know from the name that most people think that Zen Academy is a place to learn, given the name, of course, and it's true.
Yeah.
But I know there's just so much more. So would love to tell me exactly what Zen Academy is all about and what role do you play there?
Yeah. So it is, I mean, it is all about learning. I think that is still the core and will always be the core part of it. But when we started out, it was a lot more about like onboarding and like teaching people about NFTs and learning from that respect. Now I think we've expanded to a much wider scope because we've had people that have been apart for like 2 years now and that need to be onboarded to NFTs. So we have structured courses on like all the way from beginner to like how to launch a project and grow your own NFT community. We have like weekly 2 to 3 calls with the community for like founders and builders and things like that. We have, events within the Discord, IRL events, and like it's really just about the networking and the community bonds and building and like working together to lift each other up. And I think that that's something that to me is like insanely valuable and kind of rare to find in this space. Like most projects that I've been in a million discords and like most of them people are just worried about the floor price and things like that. And for us, I think it's so different because we have like a real community of like people. Like we have tens of thousands actually, if you think of all the different elements of Zen Academy we have all around the world. And it's just wonderful to just have so many excellent humans call Zen Academy home and like think of it as like one of like their home base in this space. And like they come to like find out information, ask questions, help others, work together, learn together. People have found jobs through Zen Academy. People have launched their own things. There's so many, like there's artists we've helped and supported along the way. There's all these initiatives that to me is like we've done all this good, and that's what like makes me happy to keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. And it's one of the and I mean, in my opinion, the way I see it, my perspective is one of the pinnacle projects in the space, man. Because once you started cooking and once you started delivering what you delivered on, people weren't really saying nothing bad about you or what's coming out of Zen Academy, man. It's just people really learn, people really get so much value out of what you're doing, man. Especially when you go on Twitter Spaces and stuff and talk about it. And dude, the website is just amazing, man. There's so much informative stuff on there. Definitely take a look at that. But I know that there's another collection in the Zen Academy world, and that's the 333 Club. I got it right this time.
Mhm.
What is the difference
Yes.
between the collection and what is the 333 Club all about?
So when we launched, I basically I was doing like some consulting work at the time, and I had like way more people trying to like hire me as a consultant than I could possibly work with. I think I put out a Google form, and within like 36 hours, there were 100 people that had reached out, and it was just like, this is wild. Again, this is bull market things. And so I thought, well, I can't in any world work with even a 10% of these projects. But what if I create like a community where the mint price is a lot higher, but it gives them like direct access to me, and would also create a community of project founders and builders specifically to like work together and help each other and learn in this space. And like a community of 333 maximum, there's like just it's a lot more intimate and exclusive and allows for things that just aren't possible with Zen Academy. So with that in mind, that's like how we launched. And for instance, something that I do is like every week on Tuesdays, I have like a Calendly link. Anyone in 333 can just book like a 30-minute call with me, and we can just chat about the project or advice or anything that they want to chat about. And I love it. And I think it's a great way for like me to give direct value back to the community as well as get to know them better, work together better. And yeah, so that's kind of what the 333 Club is. It's just like a much more exclusive tier of membership within Zen Academy, which comes with like, we have our own events and just like more exclusivity, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like like the top kind of like the top tier kind of exclusive club membership. Would love to get into like some examples of what you guys do exactly. And they're like, have we seen anything out there in the Web3 world that you advised on, or something somebody's working on, or how does the process go from them joining and then getting consulting, advising, and then actually launching or executing on that plan? Are you involved in that stuff too as well, or how does that work?
I guess it varies from every different person because people join at different stages of the development of their project and where they're at. I definitely advise in different capacities, but we've had like founders of mega successful, like Zagabond is a member, 9gag CEO from Memeland is a member, but they were doing their own thing and already launched and then like became a member or were already on the way to launching before becoming. So it's not like I helped them. I don't want to take any credit whatsoever. It's like they just wanted to be part of the community, and they're obviously not that active like a lot of people because they have their own projects. And then we've probably had like a few dozen just I would say like minor to mid projects that have launched in terms of like widespread knowledge and appeal. But like there's some really, really cool things that have come out of the 333, and I'm like so proud. Like we have generative artists in there that launch their own things. We have people that have done like stories and real life books. KPRverse, actually one of the founders is a member in Zen Academy. That was a pretty successful project from a little while back. And going back to 2021, actually there were a bunch of projects that probably they're sort of unfortunately faded away right now. But yeah, there's been a lot basically.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And it's also like a great networking place because since you had 9gag CEO and other big huge names in there, I know they're not as active.
They're not like active, but yeah, they're in there.
Even being there, even having that membership and being that in that same circle, it still could arise. The opportunity is much larger there than it is, basically on Twitter or anywhere else.
Yeah. And another thing I do is like I really try and like use my network to connect people in 333 with like if I think that there's like a mutually like say if someone's launching a project and I'm like and they want to like be connected to someone whomever in the space and I'm like, oh yeah, this makes sense as a mutually beneficial thing. I'm always happy to like tap into that, and that's something that I can do for a smaller community, but it just becomes impractical if I open that up to everyone in Zen Academy. It would be chaos and madness. But yeah.
No, definitely, man. People will be just like the Google Docs thing, man. People want to pick at your brain, man. And you got a big brain on them shoulders, man. It's it's up there, man. It's up there. Before we jump into what you've been up to as of recent, man, would love to talk about something super cool and amazing, and that's the scholarship fund that you have at the Zen Academy. Tell me all about that. What is all about, and how does one qualify? How do you go about getting something like that? I think it's a beautiful thing, man. I definitely want to share something like that.
Yeah, appreciate you bringing it up. So the scholarship fund, it came about. So early 2022, I created these video courses on a platform called Zen Academy. It's kind of like a masterclass style platform. And one course was like $400, and it was like, 20 hours of video content. Another one was like $200 or something like that. I might be getting the prices wrong. They were free to like anyone at Zen Academy NFT. So free to the community. And then there was like if you weren't part of the community and you just bought directly through there, it was like a 50-50 split between myself and the Zen Academy company. Of the revenue that I generated, I said, I'm going to take a percentage of that. I think it was like 25%. Maybe it was all of it. I can't even remember at this point. And put that into a scholarship fund. Some of it was donated and then to charities, and then some of it was put into the scholarship fund, which the idea was to just like give back out to artists or builders or creators in the space. And there might have been a couple other ways we funded the scholarship fund, but that was the main way. And then the biggest way we've sort of used that money to give back is we ran this initiative. We've run it 3 times now, called Zenmas, based on like in 2021, we launched in November, and then December was coming up, and we're like, hey, what can we do around the Christmas time? And like 12 days of Christmas, we said, maybe we'll just do something like that. We'll do the 12 days of Zenmas, where we worked with 12 different artists. They all created a beautiful piece, and then we airdropped it to everyone in the community. And so we paid all the artists, obviously.
That's awesome.
And so we've done that twice more. So now 36 different artists, maybe actually like 40 because we had like 13 a couple of times. We paid them a bit of money and gave our community a piece of art. And it's just like that kind of, that's like probably the biggest use case of the scholarship fund so far.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Like I said, man, it's a beautiful thing. I think it is. It's showcasing a lot about people's art and artists out there that not necessarily don't know how to get the most attention or don't know how to get the most following out there. And for someone like you to have, the platform that you have, It's a great thing to show off artists out there that not really try to do this for their for their life, because being an artist isn't sometimes the most sustainable thing. But dude,
It's hard.
and the thing is too, man, both parties win. The artists win and the holders win, because holders
Yeah.
get art, man. Art is just like always the alpha. It's always the meta. It always will be the meta. And
Mhm.
you just never know, man. It just takes one of these artists to become the next fucking Picasso, and your holders have a little piece of that. It's
That
a
would be amazing.
we're in the early stages, man.
We
um,
really are. We really are.
I'm super excited to get to talk about this, man, because I know you've been recently working on this, spreading the message. Man, it's been everywhere. Let's talk about this PFP project, man, that you're doing. What is the purpose of making this PFP collection, and what are some key differences between your PFP project and what is out there today?
Yeah. So going back again to 2021, when we initially launched, I was super intentional because everyone is doing a PFP.
Yeah.
And I was like, the last thing we need is another PFP project. And this is, again, like 18 months back. Now we've seen like a million more come out.
Oh yeah.
So then the question is like, why now? Why are we launching one now? And the main idea is that a lot of PFP projects, they launch and then try and build a community, or like they launch and then they try and do a thing. For us, we've already launched. We've already got an amazing, incredible community. We've already built that. And the PFP is really for our existing community as a way to give them a way to have a beautiful piece of art. And then if they want, use it to represent themselves on social media, because we all know people like to do that. And there's marketing value in that. There's like community bond and building value in that. And so like, that's the idea we're going into with the PFP. And so we're not like, one of the ways it's different is we're not selling these things. We're not raising money or generating any income directly from it, where if you've been a member, you'll be able to burn your existing token and get a PFP. It's like a one-to-one. We're not like inflating the supply either and diluting our ecosystem, because I think that's the opposite of what we need in this space right now. And so like that I think it separates us a little bit from a lot of other projects and approaches they've taken. And then, I mean, the art, without like, we haven't shared yet. We will definitely be sharing like full sneak peeks before the reveal date, so people know what they're going to be getting. But I do think it's like, I've seen a lot of PFP projects in my time. I think ours is it's unlike anything I've seen before. Obviously, it has a lot of elements that you could share with other projects, but just I think the aesthetic is different enough that I think it can stand out. And I think the quality is very high. We've got an amazing artist. His name is Pondering. He's from Thailand. He's a super rare artist, and he creates these like wonderful magical worlds, and it's very thematic and in theme for us. So I'm very excited for it. I think the community is going to love it a lot. And I think that hopefully we can get some new members who see us and want to be part of the community, because it's, it really is like a real community that we already have, rather than, hey, we're trying to launch an NFT and then build a community afterwards. We sort of did it in reverse.
Yeah, definitely. And that's I think that's the way to go about it, to be honest, man. I see a lot of people, really start anything, whether it be NFTs, podcasting, YouTube, whatever it may be. I really believe that you're supposed to build a community around you at some point, before starting these things, because I don't know, man. It's kind of like the same thing as like a tree falling over and nobody's there to see it. And did it really fall over? No one was there to see it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's sometimes it sounds a little bit harsh, saying those kind of things like, hey, nobody. It's not like I'm saying nobody cares about what you're doing. It's just nobody's seeing it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I completely agree, man. I'm excited about the PFP project, man. From what you, excuse me, from what you guys have been, you and your team been delivering, man. Especially you. I know that it's going to be valuable. It's going to be amazing art. I don't even know what it looks like, nothing, but I know that you deliver quality, man. But one quick question, man. Is there anything like a theme that maybe we can refer to about the art? Like a theme? Is it going to be, I don't know how to explain it. Dark, light?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
I mean,
a theme, I think magical is like the only word I can think of that's like, that would probably be the theme. Magical and purple, obviously. Purple is very on brand. So with those two things in mind, and if you look at like Pondering, some of his other work, you probably get some hints, although it's kind of distinct from a lot of his other work. But there's definitely elements throughout it. But yeah, like magical and purple are probably the two big themes.
Are there going to be some grails in there? You know, 101s.
There'll be some one-on-ones where we're in the process of like deciding and creating those at the moment.
Oh yeah, dude, there's one thing that like I never really expected me going crazy about, and just whatever project it is, man, just 101s are so badass, dude. I love 101. I love looking at them. I've never gotten one, but still, dude, it's a badass thing to see like their artists go just straight fucking hard on just one.
Yeah,
man. It's a beautiful thing, man.
It's
but
awesome.
hey, go ahead. You're about to say something.
No, I was just going to say on the art perspective, I think it's great for the artists as well, because when you're creating like a 10K PFP collection or whatever size, you're creating individual traits, and then you have a lot of restrictions. It's like this has to be within these dimensions, and this has to fit like this, and has to make sure that it layers correctly. With 101s, they have the freedom and flexibility to kind of go wild and be creative, and it's still within the same style. You want to make sure that it's clearly from the same collection, but yeah, I think it's really allows for artists to get like creative and really express themselves, and I think that's why they can be so cool.
That's awesome, man. One last question about the or I guess two, man. But one, everybody asked this: IP rights for them? No, yes.
Yeah, so this has been a big topic. We've been debating it like over the last couple of weeks. We asked our community. We had like a voice chat, and I got different opinions. And just yesterday, actually, we had a call with our IP lawyer to discuss. Haven't settled in on it. Like, I'm personally a huge fan of CC0. I think it's really Web3 native. That being said, listening to the community, talking with others, I think what we'll do is probably kind of like the stock standard, where we'll give holders full commercial rights. And then I think it just like gives, even if 99.9% of people don't do anything with it, I think it gives people a deeper emotional connection to their PFP. It's like they have more of a sense of ownership, and the ability to just like knowing that you might one day want to do something with it, I think gives people a little more comfort. And we're talking about the 10K collection will be this way, but we might create like some mascots that like live outside the collection and are distinct enough, but again, part of the same collection. And those might be like CC0. So if people do want to go and create, they have like a few different options to be creative. But yeah, we're probably going down the full commercial rights type of avenue.
Oh yeah, man. I'm excited. Whatever you do, man. I'm just excited with what you guys do, man. I think that, and I do agree with the having the commercial rights as offers a little bit of comfort. I completely agree. As someone, mostly as someone from like a consumer side of things, I really pay attention to the way I feel and how it makes me feel, all these things, because a lot of humans, we have a lot of similarities between human emotions. But you're completely right, dude. Me having my Bored Ape, I've done a few things, nothing huge. I've had like a little joint with my ape on it, and it was pretty cool. It was only like a limited batch, but I haven't done anything since. But still, having that the rights, the knowing that it does make me comfortable. It makes me more attached to it, because I feel like I do want to do more things. I do want to build the character out. I just don't know exactly what it is yet, but I just wanted to go back to that and completely agree with you, man. But one last question, man. I'll let you go. I know you're super busy. What does the future look like for Zeneca and the Zen Academy? What should we all be looking forward to?
Yeah, this actually comes back to what I alluded to a bit earlier about how in 2021 I was thinking about monetizing content, and you have like paid newsletter and sponsorship and courses and stuff like that, and Patreons. We're sort of coming full circle, because if you have an NFT project, a PFP project, or whatever, a membership community, in this space, you need to be thinking about like revenue. How do you generate revenue? And, royalties 18 months ago, I think a lot of us, even myself, kind of thought, all right, these are around, these will be a thing for a while. And then, maybe about a year ago now, we all saw the writing on the wall, and we're like, oh, it looks like we're headed towards zero, and we need to pivot and come up with alternative revenue streams. And we sort of started experimenting with a bunch of different options, consulting and sponsorships and affiliates and things like that. But what I think makes the most sense now that I've had some time to reflect and we sort of come full circle is educational courses. Like it's sort of back to basics where it's like, let's put a lot of time and effort and energy and research into creating really high quality, but also like easily digestible educational courses, and sell them. And, we can give them for free to like the 333 Club, for instance, and some of them for free to the holders and or heavily discounted depending on how the rest of the finances are looking. But then the space at large can also, purchase them in whatever fiat or some other currency, and that generates revenue for the business. And I think that is, to me, like the most clear business model and like pillar to build Zen Academy around, because then we're still educating, we're still helping people, we're still doing all the things that we want to be doing. But we have a pathway to generate revenue over the longer term as well. And I think just like there's always more things you can create courses about. Like, and that's the beauty of this space, is that it's so new and continually evolving and new things are coming out. Like you could even create the same course and just update it. Like for instance, early 2022, I created one on how to launch an NFT project. It's already outdated. Like I give it away for free now because I know how outdated the content is. So I would have to create a whole brand new course from the ground up because it's a completely different environment and mentality to approach how to launch an NFT project and how you would consider doing it now. So I think that, yeah, the future is more courses, more content, more education, more events, more access, all the good stuff that really makes Zen Academy special.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And I'm super excited to definitely check all that stuff out, man. I haven't gone into the courses myself, but definitely all the things that you've been doing and all the white paper and hop into the Discord, man. Like you said, you guys have a very strong community. But I want to go back to exactly what you said. When I first started here, I tweeted, people would literally pay you one day to teach them the things that to show them the things that you've been through, all the experience that it's crazy that someone like yourself, and I'm happy that someone like yourself is doing that, because not to toot my own horn or anything, but I was right, man. People, the value and the experience that you guys have obtained for just being here every single day is so valuable, so valuable. People and companies will just pay you for this information just to feed it to them, because it's much faster, it's quicker, and it's safer to learn from somebody that's just been through it all. So it's super cool to see you do it, man. It's awesome, man. But also making generating revenue, because there's always like a lot of people out there that kind of talk shit about it, like, yeah, well, you're just making more money off of your holders, or you're just out there cash grabbing. And I'm like, dude, how are they supposed to continue? How are they supposed to keep going what they want to do? I mean, this stuff, it doesn't fucking just come out of thin air. You have to make money to keep going. You have to make money to have runway to do all this stuff. But man, it's awesome to hear that you guys are going down this route of generating revenue and just keep feeding value while doing it, man. It's awesome, man. But that's all I had for you, my guy. All the questions have been answered. I've been just having so much fun with you, man. I hope you had a good time.
Me too.
I
had a blast, honestly.
Oh, dude, I'm so happy to hear that, man. It makes me feel better, man, because I always get a little nervous. I'm like, man, dude, is this person having a good time? Am I asking the right questions?
Absolutely.
All those things go inside my head. But
yeah, it happens to all of us.
Yeah, no doubt, man. But would love for people to find out more about you, what you're doing, Zen Academy, everything, or the 333 Club, everything. Where can people go and find out more information about you guys?
Probably the best place is honestly like go to my Twitter at the moment, at Zenica, because I've got a link to my newsletter as well as a link to the Zen Academy and 333 Club Twitter accounts in there. Depending on when this goes out, I have my website. I'm like redeveloping it, zenica.xyz. That's going to have like a lot more substance. It's going to have some free courses, some guides, some information about Zen Academy and all that kind of stuff. So one of the two places, my Twitter account on my website.
That's awesome, man. Thank you again, man. I've completely, excuse me, I completely forgot to ask this question, man. You can You can do it fast, easy, whatever you like. Would love to get your thoughts and your perspective of the sentiment and everything going on in the NFT and Web3 world.
Yeah. I'm actually like right in the middle of writing a piece on Ether, like breaking down like a
Oh
case
yeah,
study on the
right.
project because they minted today, like the final Dutch auction today, and I think that they're a really fascinating case study because it's sort of a pivotal moment where had the project launched a year ago, 18, like it would have sold out at 1 ETH. Like the market would have loved it. It's got all the right ingredients. But the market has shifted now, and I think in a really healthy way where it's matured, and now people want to know where the money they're spending is going. What are they buying? What is the like people no longer are bought into the delusion of like buying an NFT means they're a shareholder of a company and they're going to be the next Disney. It's like, okay, so you get this money. Why do you need this money? What are you going to do with it? What does it mean for us as holders? You're building IP. How are you going to build IP? What's your experience? All the questions that should be answered or should be asked and answered. So I think the market is in this like stage of maturation, and we've obviously seen a massive collapse. Sort of, I mean, for the last year, it's been collapsing, but after the Azuki extractive mint, it's sort of like everything collapsed again, and a lot of PFP projects are now really struggling. And I think, yeah, the next, I don't see like things significantly changing over the next 6 months. I think certain PFP projects will survive and thrive and exist and make it. A lot of others will not. To me, like the safest places to like park your ETH, if it's in NFTs, is are things that have no external dependencies. So like nothing that has a roadmap, nothing that has a team. Look at things like art. Art to me is the most clear example. Personally, I'm a big fan of like generative art blocks and things like that. But one of one art from artists that really have like put in the time and created meaningful pieces. I think all of that to me is a lot more just like I don't want to say safer, but I think it is safer than PFPs. Like not safe because everything is risky in this space, but yeah, that's some thoughts.
Yeah, definitely, man. I definitely agree with you on the art perspective and opinion because the numbers are there. It's written, man. Like for example, I forgot the art clips, man. They're still dominating. You know what I mean? They're still out there killing it, man. And
Yeah,
other artists out there, man. Oh man, dude, there's so many cool, amazing artists out there, man. I just wish I had like a shit ton of more money so I can buy these pieces, man. But
don't
yeah,
we all?
oh
Yeah,
man, dude, yeah, yeah. It's amazing out there. There's a lot of talented people out there. But hey, Zeneca, dude, it was so much fun doing this with you, man. I appreciate you. I'm pretty sure every single person listening appreciates you coming on to the show, feeding us what you guys are doing, and all the value that you guys just keep providing, man. It's amazing. I can't thank you enough, man. And yeah, man, I hope you had a good time.
I did. Thank you so much for having me. It was a blast. Appreciate it.
Oh, hell yeah, man. I'm glad to hear that. All right, man. I hope you have a good rest of your night and good
Cool.
rest of your life, my guy.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Yeah.